Chapter 18. Lucy. Lucy backed away from Dylan, ignoring her sister, who was calling out to her. "It was before I promised. I sent her a text. Now I'm going to be in trouble again, and it's all your fault." "No, it's not. She had not started this, and she wasn't about to take the blame." "Don't argue with him. Tell him what he wants to hear," Jack said. "Focus on getting out of this alive." "I mean, no, you're not. I'm sure we can sort this out." She was tempted to tell her sister to shut up, but didn't want to say anything that might set Dylan off. "I liked the roses. They were very pretty." She took a step backwards, feeling with her bare feet where to step. She stumbled as she passed the peak of the roof. "You did? You really liked them?" "Lucy, what are you doing up there? Who's that with you?" Leah stared up at her. "Dylan? What are you doing here?" Justin asked. Dylan shook his head, muttering no under his breath over and over again. Occasionally he said, "You promised." Lucy took a step to the side, planning to go around him so she could climb off the roof. She hadn't even finished taking a single step when Dylan barreled into her. She heard her sister scream and herself echoing her. "Fight him, don't let him push you over the edge." Jack ran after her to stand between her and the edge of the roof. "I'm trying." She struggled against Dylan, feeling herself getting closer and closer to the edge by the second. In the background she could hear Leah and Justin yelling, and Leah demanding he do something. "Lucy, come on. You're inches from the edge. Fight harder." "I can't." The words came out sounding like a sob. "Jack, help me." Her leg slipped over the edge. "Dylan. Let me go. Please let me go." She felt Jack land on her, his weight pressing her away from the edge. "Don't fight me. I won't let you go over," Jack said. "Give me your hand." She let Jack's hand wrap around hers, turning it into a fist. Then she was punching Dylan in the jaw, with the help of Jack. Dylan's grip loosened and they hit him again. Jack dragged her away from Dylan and towards the middle of the roof. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, looking at Dylan, who remained lying on the roof, curled into a ball as he cradled his jaw with his hand. Walking unsteadily to the edge of the roof, she stared at her sister, who was arguing with Justin. It took a moment for their words to sink in. "No. Absolutely no." She clambered down off the roof and strode to her sister's side. "Are you crazy?" She glared at Justin. "You don't understand," Justin said. "No. You don't understand. Your brother broke into my house tonight, this morning. That isn't right. You can't enter people's houses without their permission." "Why didn't you ring me?" Leah demanded. "I tried. My battery was flat." She realized her phone was missing. "And I have no idea where it is right now, but if it had been charged I would have called the police." "It's on the roof," Jack said. She started to thank him, then remembered no one else could hear him. It had been okay to talk to him in front of Dylan, but the last thing she needed was for her sister to think she'd lost the plot. "Call the police, Leah." "I can't let you," Justin said. "You'd side with your brother instead of me?" Leah demanded. Justin shrugged. "He's my brother." Lucy stepped between Leah and Justin. "Call the police, Leah." "Do you really think you're a match for me?" Justin laughed. "Really?" She probably wasn't, but all she had to do was buy some time for her sister to make the call. "What do you think you're doing, Lucy?" "Run," Jack ordered. Leah! Run! Ring the cops! She threw herself at Justin, tackling him to the ground. Probably only managing because he wasn't expecting the move. She swore as his fist connected with her jaw, and she wondered if this was how Dylan had felt. "Fight him," Jack said. "Come on, Lucy. You can do better than this." She wanted to say she couldn't, but she was too busy trying not to have her face smashed in. She was even too busy to ask Jack for help. Jack continued to stand over her. "Are you trying to get yourself killed? Fight him. Don't you know how to fight? You're going to call your sister back." Justin held her pinned to the ground, leaning over her. "They're not putting my brother in hospital again. He said he'd kill himself if they did. That's not going to happen." "No." She answered both of them, but wasn't sure if Jack realized that. "I don't know how, Jack. It's Justin, not Jack. And it's simple. Call her name. She'll come." Dylan appeared behind his brother and stared down at Lucy. "She's talking to a ghost." Panic hit Lucy and she tried to remain calm. There was no way she could fight off the two of them. When she saw Leah behind Dylan, a branch drawn back to swing at him, she tried to think of a way to distract him. "Ghosts aren't real. Don't tell me you believe in them, Dylan." "They are. You told me they are." Dylan pointed his finger at her, yelling the words. Leah swung the branch. A cracking sound caused them all to fall silent as Dylan crashed to the ground. Justin was the first to move, roaring as he started shaking Lucy, her head connecting with the ground. Leah screamed, trying to pull Justin away from her. Jack grabbed hold of her hand. "Let me in. Say yes, Lucy." The world spun around her and her head ached from where it had connected with the ground. "Yes." Then it felt like her body was crowded and far too small, controlled by someone other than herself. Her fist connected with Justin's jaw, but he didn't loosen his grip. Blow after blow was rained upon him, until she was finally breaking free of him. He rose to his feet, swinging a fist towards her face. She ducked, sinking her fist into his stomach, sweeping his legs out from under him by hooking her right ankle around his. Justin crashed to the ground and she reached forward, grabbing him by the shirt, smashing her fist into his face. Letting go of his shirt, she watched as he dropped back to the ground. Then she felt empty, Jack standing in front of her, his hands on her shoulders as he asked if she was all right. She shook her head, then nodded, not sure what to tell him. Behind her, Leah was sobbing and she could hear sirens. Jack started to fade. "Don't go." Her words were a whisper. Jack smiled, drawing away from her. "I guess we figured out what you needed help with after all." He disappeared and she hoped he was still there so he could hear her whispered words. "Thank you, Jack." Leah took a couple of hesitant steps towards her. "What happened to you? It was like you were possessed. I know you can't fight." Lucy crossed the distance between them, taking hold of her sister's hand, wincing at the pain not only in her hands but most of her body. "What are we going to tell Mum and Dad?" Leah started to laugh, tears continuing to fall. "We are so dead." She had to agree. Their parents would probably ground them for life. Dylan groaned and her eyes were drawn to him. She hoped the police arrived before he regained consciousness. Although she guessed that since Jack was gone they were probably safe. "You'll have to ring them. My phone is flat and up on the roof." They were still arguing over who had to ring their parents when the police found them.